The city never truly sleeps. It hums. A low, constant pulse of ambition and loneliness dressed in glass and steel. From the 42nd floor of his Manhattan penthouse, Alexander Pierce watches it all. The glittering sprawl, the endless motion of people chasing something they can't name. The sunset paints his floor-to-ceiling windows in shades of copper and gold, but the light doesn't reach him where he sits on the edge of his bed. In his hands, a photograph. Him and Elena, younger, laughing at something the camera didn't catch. Her eyes are bright with a joy he can no longer remember how to feel. His thumb traces the edge of her face, careful not to smudge the glass. "You always knew," he whispers to the silence. "You saw through everyone, except me." The photograph goes back on the nightstand. His hand lingers there, trembling just slightly, before he pulls it away. 45 years old. A fortune that could buy nations. And he's never felt poorer. 3 days earlier, Alexander had stood in his corner office, all glass and chrome and the cold efficiency of power. Rain streaked the windows. His assistant had just left 3 files on his desk, background checks he hadn't asked for but received anyway. 3 women. 3 months since Elena's funeral. 3 chances at, what? Moving on? Finding distraction? He didn't know anymore. Vivian Ross appeared first in his mind, refined, cultured, always perfectly composed. He remembered her at last month's gallery opening, champagne flute catching the light, her laugh musical and practiced. She'd touched his arm when she spoke, her fingers lingering just long enough to suggest interest without demanding it. Then Isabel Lane. Soft-spoken, spiritual, the kind of woman who spoke about healing and energy and finding your authentic self. She'd invited him to a charity brunch, sat close enough that he could smell her lavender perfume, and told him that loss could be a doorway to transformation. He'd wanted to believe her. And Monica Hart. Brilliant. Direct in the way that some people mistake for honesty. A tech CEO who saw the world in terms of leverage and opportunity. She'd pitched him a partnership over dinner, her company and his capital. But the way she looked at him suggested she meant a different kind of merger entirely. 3 women. 3 versions of interest. And Alexander couldn't shake the feeling that none of them saw him, just the towers he'd built, the empire that bore his name, the net worth that preceded him into every room. Elena used to say something that haunted him now: watch what people do when they think no one's watching. That's when you see who they really are. He'd been staring out at the rain when Maria Santos knocked softly and entered with fresh towels. She moved quietly as she always did, efficient and unobtrusive. 2 years she'd worked for him, and he realized with something like shame that he knew almost nothing about her. She never asked for anything. Never complained. Never pushed for more hours or higher pay. She simply was present and invisible at once. "Mr. Pierce, I've finished the guest rooms. Will you be needing anything else tonight?" He turned, and for just a moment, brief as a heartbeat, he really looked at her. Brown eyes, kind and tired. Hands that had seen work. A face that held no calculation, no angle, no hidden agenda. Then the moment passed. "No, Maria. Thank you. You can head home." "All right. Have a good evening, sir." The door closed with a whisper. Alexander watched the space where she'd been, and something occurred to him. An idea. A test. Perhaps not a kind one, but he'd stopped believing in kindness as a strategy. That night, in his study with its leather and mahogany and the crackle of a fire he didn't need, Alexander laid out 4 black cards on his desk. Platinum. No limits. Each one capable of revealing everything or nothing, depending on who held it. He wrote 4 names on 4 envelopes. His handwriting looked lonely on the expensive paper. Vivian. Isabel. Monica. Maria. For women. For choices. 1 weekend. If you were given everything, what would you reveal about yourself? Morning came cold and clear. Alexander made his calls. "Vivian, I want you to enjoy yourself this weekend." His voice was warm, measured, the tone of a man used to making offers. "Take this card. Buy whatever brings you joy. Consider it my way of saying thank you." Her face on the video call brightened like he'd offered her the sun itself. "Alexander, you don't have to. I insist. With Isabel, he softened his approach. She was at a coffee shop, steam rising from her cup, afternoon light gentle on her face. That's so generous. Are you sure? Completely. Treat yourself. You deserve it. Monica answered from her car, always in motion, always between meetings. Well, aren't you full of surprises? Her smile was knowing. I accept. But you know I'll want to return the favor. We'll see. Maria was different. She came to his study uncertain, worry creasing her forehead. Is everything all right, Mr. Pierce? More than all right. He slid the black envelope across his desk. You've worked for me faithfully for 2 years. I want you to take this weekend off, paid. And take this. She stared at the envelope like it might burn her. Sir, I don't understand. It's a credit card. No limit. Buy something for yourself. Something you've always wanted. Consider it a bonus. Her hands didn't move toward it. Mr. Pierce, this is too much. Maria. His voice gentled. Please. Just enjoy it. I'll see you Monday. She took the envelope slowly, and her expression held something he couldn't read. Confusion, maybe, or a sadness he didn't understand. But she took it. When she left, Alexander sat alone in the dying light and wondered what he hoped to find. Confirmation of his cynicism? Or something else entirely? Something he didn't dare name. Saturday morning broke over Manhattan in shades of pearl and silver. Somewhere in the city, Vivian Ross walked into a boutique on Fifth Avenue like a queen claiming her throne. Ms. Ross, wonderful to see you again. What can we show you today? Everything. I'm celebrating. The saleswoman's smile widened. Vivian moved through the racks with the confidence of someone who knew her worth and expected the world to agree. A Valentino gown, midnight blue, cut to perfection. Louboutin heels that cost more than most people's monthly rent. A diamond bracelet that caught the light and scattered it like broken stars. At the register, the total flashed, $47,000. Vivian didn't blink. She took a selfie surrounded by her purchases, the kind of carefully composed shot that suggested effortless luxury. Her caption would be something about treating yourself, about deserving beautiful things, about not apologizing for wanting more. She felt beautiful. She felt powerful. She felt exactly as she should. Across town, Isabel Lane stepped into a wellness spa, all dim lighting and the scent of eucalyptus. Her voice was honey smooth at the reception desk. I'd like the full-day package. The deluxe one. And book my friend Rachel too, my treat. $3,200 for a day of being touched and told she was enough exactly as she was. By evening, she'd booked a week at a beachfront villa in the Hamptons. On the phone with the travel agent, her voice remained serene, centered, the voice of someone who'd learned that self-care was the highest form of love. She told herself she was healing, honoring her journey, filling her cup so she could pour into others. But there was something calculating in her eyes as she approved the charges. Something that understood opportunity when it knocked. Monica Hart didn't waste time on dresses or spa days. By noon, she sat across from a financial advisor in an office as sleek and cold as she was warm and sharp. I want to open a new investment account. Transfer $200,000 from this card to start. The advisor's eyebrows rose. That's quite a portfolio move, Ms. Hart. I don't believe in wasting opportunities. Money should make money. She followed it with strategic purchases, technology, tools, assets that would appreciate. A new laptop. The latest phone. A designer briefcase that looked expensive because it was. Monica saw the card for what it was, leverage. A down payment on a future she was already building. One that included Alexander Pierce, his wealth, his connections, his name attached to hers. She texted him that evening, "Thank you for the opportunity. Let's discuss partnership terms next week." Dinner. Alexander sat in his penthouse as the sun set again, phone in hand, watching the charges roll in. Each notification a small confirmation of what he'd expected. Luxury. Indulgence. Strategy. He poured 2 fingers of whiskey and didn't drink it. Just held the glass and watched the amber liquid catch the dying light. "Elena," he said to the empty room. "You were right. Again." But there was one card that hadn't moved. One woman who hadn't bought anything, hadn't texted, hadn't claimed her piece of his wealth. Maria Santos. In Queens, in an apartment so small Alexander's closet was larger, Maria sat at her kitchen table. The envelope lay unopened between her coffee cup and her daughter's homework. She'd spent all of Saturday staring at it, turning it over, feeling the weight of the card inside. Sophia bounded in, 8 years old and full of the kind of joy that doesn't know to doubt itself yet. "Mama, look what I drew." Maria smiled and her whole face changed. "It's beautiful, Mija." She held her daughter close, breathing in the scent of her shampoo, feeling the solid warmth of her. Over Sophia's shoulder, her eyes went back to the envelope. 2 jobs before this one. Welfare before that. The memory of choosing between electricity and groceries. The weight of every dollar, the cost of pride, the danger of owing someone something you could never repay. Finally, she opened it. The card slid out, heavy and cold. There was a note in Alexander's handwriting. "For your kindness. No strings." Her eyes filled. She closed them against the tears. "No strings," she whispered. "But everything has a cost." Saturday night became Sunday morning. Maria didn't sleep much. She prayed. She thought. She walked through her neighborhood at dawn, the card in her jacket pocket like a weight pulling her down. She passed the bodega where Mr. Chin always gave her day-old bread for free. Past the church where Father Miguel let Sophia attend daycare because Maria cleaned on Saturdays. Past the playground where mothers spoke in Spanish and Tagalog and Arabic, all of them trying to build something better for their children. Maria knew what Alexander didn't say when he gave her the card. She understood lonely people. They don't give gifts, they give tests. They look for proof that the world isn't as cold as it feels. They hope someone somewhere will surprise them. Would you still give, if no one was watching? Sunday afternoon, Maria stood outside the Esperanza Community Center. Children played in a lot that needed resurfacing. The building's paint peeled. But inside there was warmth. A place where families like hers found help when nowhere else would give it. She walked in. Carmen was at the desk, gray-haired and strong in the way that comes from surviving things that should have broken you. "Maria, que sorpresa. What brings you here?" Maria pulled out the black card. Her hand didn't shake. "Carmen, I want to make a donation." "Mija, we appreciate anything, but I want to pay off the center's rent. For the whole year. Fund the after-school program. Fix the roof. Buy new computers for the kids." Carmen's mouth opened. "Maria, that's over $50,000. I know. Can we do it today?" At the bank, the teller looked at Maria's worn jacket and work-roughened hands, then at the platinum card, and clearly didn't believe they belonged to the same person. "Ma'am, this is quite a large transaction. Are you sure?" "I'm sure." The transaction went through. Carmen wept. She pulled Maria into a fierce hug, and Maria held her, thinking about all the children who would have heat this winter, computers to learn on, a safe place to go after school. "Do you know how many families this will help?" Carmen whispered. "I do. That's why I'm doing it." But she wasn't finished. At a small clinic, Maria spoke to Dr. Patel about Mrs. Rodriguez. 73 years old. Surgery delayed 6 months because she couldn't afford it. How much does she need? $12,000. I'll cover it. Today. And if there are others, make me a list. She paid 3 months of rent for a single mother about to be evicted. Bought groceries for elderly neighbors who were eating 1 meal a day to stretch their fixed income. Fixed the heating system in her building so no one would be cold. By the time the sun set Sunday evening, Maria had spent $73,000. She'd kept nothing for herself. She sat on the steps of her building, exhausted and at peace. Looked up at the sky where a few stubborn stars fought through the city's glare. "Elena used to say we're only as rich as what we give away," she whispered to whoever might be listening. "I hope I did right." In his penthouse, Alexander stared at his laptop screen. The charges scrolled past. He'd seen Vivian's, predictable. Isabel's, expected. Monica's, calculated. Then Maria's charges appeared. His scrolling slowed. Stopped. Esperanza Community Center, $52,000 medical clinic payment, $12,000 grocery assistance, $4,000 rent payment, $3,000 building repair, $2,000. His hand covered his mouth. He read each line again. Then again. The laptop screen blurred. Alexander Pierce, who hadn't cried since they lowered Elena into the ground, felt something crack open inside him. His shoulders shook. Tears fell onto his keyboard. She'd kept nothing. Not one thing. She'd seen suffering and stopped it. Seen need and filled it. Been given everything and given it all away. Have you ever realized too late who the real angel in your life was? His hands shook as he grabbed his phone and dialed. Mr. Pierce? Is everything all right? Maria's voice was worried, confused. Maria! His voice broke. What did you do? I used the card like you said. I'm sorry if I... Sorry. He was crying openly now. Maria, do you have any idea what you just did? I tried to help people. I know it was a lot of money, but you said no strings. You thought of everyone but yourself. Everyone. Silence. Where are you right now? At home. With my daughter. Stay there. I'm coming to you. Sir, you don't have to. Maria. Please. I need to see you. He was out the door before she could protest. The drive from Manhattan to Queens felt longer than any flight Alexander had ever taken. His hands gripped the steering wheel. His eyes were still red. He'd closed billion-dollar deals without his pulse rising. But climbing those stairs to her apartment, his heart hammered like he was 18 again. Maria opened the door. Small apartment. Photos everywhere. Her daughter's drawings on the refrigerator. The scent of something homemade. Mr. Pierce, please come in. He stepped inside, and the space felt larger than his penthouse somehow. Richer. Sometimes the richest moments in life happen in the smallest rooms. You have a beautiful home, he said quietly. It's small, but it's ours. He couldn't sit. Couldn't stop moving. I need to tell you something. And I need to apologize. Apologize? For what? The card. It wasn't just a gift. He looked at her directly. It was a test. Her face changed. The hurt in her eyes was immediate, deep. A test. I gave the same card to 3 other women. I wanted to see who they really were. What they'd choose when they thought no one was watching. She stepped back, arms crossing protectively. And what did you learn? That I'm a fool. His voice cracked. That I've been surrounded by people who only see my money. And the one person who never asked for anything was the only one who deserved everything. Maria's eyes filled. She looked away. I didn't do it to impress you. I know. He pulled out his phone, showed her the charges. The others bought things for themselves. Beautiful, expensive things. Things I expected. But you, Maria? He couldn't finish. The emotion choked him. You gave it all away. To people you'll never meet. Families who won't know your name. You kept nothing. The tears fell down her face now. Because I don't need things, Mr. Pierce. I have my daughter. My health. I have enough. But those families were drowning. You gave me a rope to throw them. How could I not? Alexander broke. He sat heavily on her worn couch, head in his hands, sobbing like he hadn't since Elena died. My wife used to say the same thing. We're only as rich as what we give away. I heard the words, but I never understood them. Not until tonight. Maria sat beside him. Her hand found his shoulder, gentle and uncertain. She sounds like she was beautiful. She was. He looked up at her through his tears. And she would have loved you. Sophia appeared around the corner in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. Mama? Why is the man crying? Come here, Mija. Sophia approached slowly. Alexander wiped his face, tried to smile. I'm crying because your mama is the kindest person I've ever met. And I needed to remember what kindness looks like. Sophia said it with the simple certainty of children. Mama's always kind. She says being kind doesn't cost money. Alexander laughed through his tears. She's absolutely right. He stood, something resolving in him. Maria, I came to thank you. And to ask you something. What is it? I want to triple your salary. And I want to start a foundation. For immigrant families. For communities like yours. I want you to run it. I want you to keep doing what you did this weekend, every day. She shook her head. Mr. Pierce, I can't. Please. Don't say no because you think you don't deserve it. Say yes because I need this. I need to do something that matters. And I can't do it without you. She covered her face. Why me? He stepped closer. Because you see people, Maria. Really see them. You saw their pain and you acted. No hesitation. No reward. Just love. Pure love. That's not something you can buy or fake. That's your soul. And the other women? They showed me who they were. And I'm grateful. Because now I know what I'm looking for. Not someone who wants my money. Someone who sees the world the way you do. The way Elena did. Silence stretched between them. Then Maria nodded slowly. I'll help you. With the foundation. But not for the money. For the families. Because they deserve someone fighting for them. Thank you. His voice was barely a whisper. Thank you, Maria. 6 months later, spring light poured through the windows of a new community center. Modern. Bright. Full of life. The Elena and Maria Pierce Foundation opened its doors on a Saturday morning. Alexander and Maria stood at the entrance with oversized scissors. Children and families gathered around them, cheering as the ribbon fell away. Inside, computer labs. Medical clinic. Classrooms. Legal aid office. Everything Maria had done with that single card, multiplied and sustained. Alexander watched her move through the crowd, speaking to families in Spanish and English, kneeling to talk to children at eye level, her face bright with purpose. She'd insisted on naming the foundation after Elena too. Your wife understood this work, she'd said. I'm just continuing what she started. He'd learned something in these 6 months. Learned to see people not as threats or transactions, but as human beings carrying their own weight, fighting their own battles, deserving of dignity. That evening, they sat on a bench outside the center. The golden hour painted everything warm. Do you still miss her? Elena? Every day. He nodded. But I think she'd be happy with this. With what we're building. I think so too. You know what the strangest part is? I gave you that card to test you. But you ended up testing me. And I failed. Maria smiled. You didn't fail. You learned. That's not failure. That's grace. They sat in comfortable silence. Children played in the distance. The city hummed beyond. Maria? Yes. Thank you. For reminding me what wealth really means. She took his hand gently. They watched the sunset together, two people who'd started as strangers and become something neither had expected. Partners in purpose, friends in the truest sense, two souls who understood that love isn't always romantic, but it's always transformative. The light faded to purple, then deep blue. The city began its nightly transformation into a sea of stars made by human hands. Maybe wealth isn't about what you have, but what you give away. Somewhere in Manhattan, Vivian Ross wore her Valentino gown to a charity gala and felt beautiful. Isabel Lane taught a retreat in Bali about authentic living and felt enlightened. Monica Hart's company went public, and she felt powerful. Each woman found exactly what she was looking for. But Maria Santos, in her small apartment in Queens, tucking Sophia into bed and kissing her goodnight, felt something they would never understand. She felt rich. Not in money. Not in status. But in the knowledge that when she'd been given everything, she'd chosen to give it all away. And in that choosing, she'd discovered what Alexander was only beginning to learn. That we're measured not by what we keep, but by what we release with open hands. That love multiplies when you give it away. That the only test that matters is the one we give ourselves every day when we choose who we want to be. Alexander had wanted to find someone who saw beyond his wealth. What he found instead was someone who showed him what wealth could actually mean. Not towers or bank accounts or empires. But this, a community center full of hope. Medical care for people who'd been invisible. Education for children whose parents worked 3 jobs. A future for families who'd stopped believing in futures. Elena had known this. She tried to teach him. But some lessons can only be learned from the right teacher at the right time. Anne Maria Santos, who'd never wanted to teach anyone anything, who'd simply lived as she always had, with kindness as her compass and love as her constant. She'd been the teacher he needed. Not because she was perfect. Not because she was a saint. But because when the world gave her a chance to be selfish, she'd looked around at the suffering she'd always seen but never had the power to stop, and she'd made a different choice. The choice that changes everything. The choice that saves us all.